Please don't send us away." 14-year-old Anna begged quietly while holding her little sister, Rosie, close beside the front door. Rain poured heavily outside, and cold wind entered through the open doorway as their stepmother, Margaret, stood with crossed arms and a hard expression on her face. "I'm done taking care of both of you," she said coldly. "Go somewhere else." Anna felt Rosie's tiny hands trembling against hers. Their father stood silently in the background, and somehow that silence hurt more than Margaret's cruelty, because deep inside, Anna realized something heartbreaking in that moment. Nobody was going to protect them anymore. Before everything changed, Anna's life had once been filled with warmth. Her real mother, Emily Parker, was gentle and loving. She filled their small home with laughter, bedtime stories, and the smell of homemade soup during winter evenings. Even difficult days felt safe when their mother was near. But happiness disappeared the night the hospital called. Anna still remembered her father collapsing onto the kitchen floor while Rosie cried in confusion beside him. Their mother had died in a car accident on a rainy highway, only 20 minutes from home, and after that night, nothing ever felt the same again. For almost a year, the house became quiet and broken. Their father, Daniel Parker, buried himself in work and grief. He stopped smiling, and sometimes Anna heard him crying quietly late at night after he thought the girls were asleep. Then Margaret entered their lives. At first, she seemed kind. She brought gifts for Rosie and complimented Anna's school grades. She smiled often and spoke softly to their father in ways that slowly brought life back into him. When Daniel announced he was marrying her, Anna tried to feel happy for him because she missed seeing her father smile. But some people hide their true nature until they know nobody can stop them anymore. Everything changed after the wedding. Margaret's warmth slowly disappeared like sunlight fading before a storm. She stopped calling Anna sweetheart. Her smiles became forced, and her patience became anger. Soon, every small thing became a problem. "Why is this kitchen still messy?" "Rosie is too loud. You girls are always causing trouble." At first, Daniel defended his daughters, but Margaret was clever. Whenever he was around, she acted loving and caring. The moment he left for work, her real face returned, cold, cruel, and unforgiving. Anna quickly became more of a servant than a daughter. Every morning before school, she cleaned dishes, prepared breakfast, and got Rosie ready. After school, Margaret handed her endless chores while relaxing on the couch scrolling through her phone. No matter how hard Anna tried, it was never enough. One evening, Rosie accidentally spilled juice on the carpet. Margaret's face darkened instantly. "You useless child," she shouted. Rosie burst into tears immediately. Anna stepped protectively in front of her little sister. "It was an accident," she said quietly. Margaret looked at Anna with sharp eyes full of anger. "Maybe you should stop acting like her mother," she snapped. But somebody had to, because their father no longer saw what was happening inside the house. Months passed and the cruelty became worse. Margaret threw away pictures of the girl's real mother because she said she was tired of looking at dead people. She gave away Rosie's favorite stuffed rabbit without asking. Sometimes she even locked the refrigerator at night so the girls could not eat snacks. But the worst pain came from their father's silence. Every time Anna tried to explain, Margaret cried fake tears and told Daniel that the girls hated her. Slowly, their father stopped listening. Grief had already weakened him, and manipulation finished the rest. One freezing winter night, everything finally exploded. Daniel was away on a business trip when Rosie accidentally broke an expensive vase while running through the living room. The sound shattered through the house like thunder. Margaret stormed into the room furiously. "You've ruined everything," she screamed. Rosie cried uncontrollably while Anna apologized again and again. But Margaret was beyond angry. "I've had enough of both of you," she shouted before dragging their backpacks from the closet and throwing them near the front door. Anna's heart stopped. "Please," she whispered. "It's snowing outside." "I don't care," Margaret replied coldly. Rosie clung tightly to Anna while crying into her coat. Then came the words Anna would never forget. "This house stopped being yours the moment your mother died." A few minutes later, the sisters stood outside, in the freezing snow with only 2 backpacks and thin jackets. The front door slammed behind them. Rosie's small voice trembled as she asked, "Where do we go now?" Anna looked down at her little sister and forced herself not to cry because Rosie needed strength even if Anna no longer had any left. The girls spent hours walking through icy streets before finally reaching the home of Mrs. Eleanor Brooks, an elderly neighbor who had once been close friends with their real mother. The moment Eleanor opened the door and saw the girls shivering outside, horror filled her face. Rosie burst into tears instantly. Within minutes, the sisters sat wrapped in warm blankets while hot soup steamed on the kitchen table. For the first time in months, Anna felt safe enough to breathe. But Eleanor's sadness slowly turned into anger after hearing everything. She threw children into the snow? She whispered in disbelief before immediately calling Daniel. When Daniel rushed home the next morning, he found his daughters asleep, together on Eleanor's couch holding each other tightly. And for the first time he truly saw them, the exhaustion in Anna's eyes, the fear in Rosie's trembling hands, and the pain both girls had hidden for months. Then Eleanor handed him security camera footage showing Margaret throwing the children out into the snow. Daniel's face went pale because suddenly, all the warnings he ignored became impossible to deny. Margaret tried to defend herself later, but this time Daniel did not listen. "She's lying," Margaret cried. But Daniel looked at her with heartbreak and anger in his eyes. "No," he said quietly. "I was the one lying to myself." Within weeks, Margaret was gone from their lives forever, but some wounds do not disappear quickly. Anna struggled to trust people again. Rosie woke up crying from nightmares for months, and Daniel carried unbearable guilt for failing to protect his daughters when they needed him most. So he spent years trying to become the father they deserved again. Slowly, painfully slowly, the broken pieces of their family began healing. Years later, during Anna's college graduation speech, she looked out into the audience and saw her father and Rosie, smiling proudly through tears. Then Anna said something that made the entire room silent. "Some people believe family is built by blood or marriage," she said softly. "But real family is built by the people who protect you when the world becomes cruel." Her father lowered his head as tears filled his eyes because he knew those words carried both pain and forgiveness. And sometimes forgiveness is the most painful gift of all. Real family is not always the people connected by blood. Sometimes real family is the people who stay, protect you and love you when the world becomes cruel. If you liked this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional and heartfelt stories.